Good afternoon, everyone. It's January. It's Claret and Booze, and this is the Daily Ramble. My name's Gary. It's our first show of 2023. Happy New Year to you all. Now, I'm going to keep up the running theme, and there is only one theme at the moment, and that's around David Moyes. David Moyes is still there. He's still there. I don't know how many more losses we're gonna have to watch until they eventually get rid of him. But look, the board are just watching us get relegated at the moment. They're sitting on their hands, hoping that it somehow comes right. Now, I've got some evidence today to suggest that it's not going to go right. We all kind of know it anyway. But anyway, I thought my son Ross has put together some stats, some very good stats actually, and I'm going to take you through those just to prove a point again. And all this while our rivals, if you look at Everton, even Forest, Wolves, they're all picking up points. Look at Villa, rejuvenated with their new manager. Just beat Spurs. It's good for anyone to beat Spurs, but one of our potential rivals who are no longer one of our rivals for relegation. And the person that's made all this possible is David Moyes. David Moyes, he has shepherded the team into fourth from bottom, which I think is probably where he found us when he joined a couple of years ago. So we've flirted with, we have a couple of seasons of European football, but now we're kind of going back to where we, where perhaps the board think we belong. I don't know. Struggling against relegation, and some people might say, well, I'd rather struggle against relegation and have a relegation battle to finish the season off, rather than a bland mid-table sort of season. But no, give me bland mid-table all day long, because getting relegated in that stadium will be a disaster. Now, I know there are certain people who seem to think that's an okay thing to do, to have 25,000 knocking around in that stadium, but I think it would just prove without any reasonable doubt that stadium is just not a football stadium, and it will hinder us rather than help us in the Championship. Now, and that's my big fear. And that is also Nick's big fear, and John's as well. Everyone on this channel, it's nothing personal against Moyes. It's just that we are currently looking at, we're being told, and it's told actually, because certain messages that line up between the chosen mouthpieces of the board, certain messages have been leaked saying that, first of all, if David Moyes, if we were in this position, we would go out and sign a manager exactly like David Moyes to get us out of it. So essentially they're saying that, yeah, he may be the arsonist, but what greater person to put out a fire than the person that started it? Well, it's different if you join a club and you're the incoming hero. But if you're the bloke who's put us there in the first place, I think it's a slightly different situation and a very naive thing to say from the club. You know what? I'd probably appreciate them if they were more honest, rather than trying to gaslight us all the time and come up with excuses. If they actually come out and said, "Look, we're going to be moving this club on soon. We don't want to give the manager a long contract because the new people that are coming in, the new owners that are coming in, probably won't want to keep him anyway. We don't want that liability on our books," or something like that. But to pretend he's doing a good job is just laughing at us, I'm afraid. It's laughing at us and ignoring the facts. And look, there's another thing that's been said as well, and this kind of makes me laugh, and that is, what if he suddenly got it right? So what if we went to Leeds tomorrow and won, and what if we won next week? What if we beat Wolves? What if we beat... Brilliant, fantastic, right? Would that prove me and others wrong? We were wrong and too hasty? No, it wouldn't. Because if you look at the evidence before you, you can see plainly, as the nose on your face, that it's not going well, right? And I've got nothing to apologise for if things suddenly start to go better. In fact, I hope they do go better. But don't ask me to apologise for getting upset when things were turning to shit like they are at the moment. So anyway, look, I've got a few stats to share with you today. And this is the first one. And this is, I've only got 4 of them to show you, but this is the 10-game moving average. And if you bear with me here, right, this is a measure of 10 games for the last 2 seasons. You take any 10-game period and how many points did we get on average during those 10 games. Now you can see that we had he came in and we were quite, on the 1st of April 2020 we were struggling, and we survived and we did well towards the end of that season. The following season, as we all know, it really took off and we did well. And then since then, and this is since the start of the 21-22 season, it's been pretty much a downward trajectory. We had a good first half of the 21-22 season, but the second half of the 21-22 season was crap, and this season 22-23 has continued exactly that way, right? So these are stats, these are facts. There's nothing you can deny here. We move on to the next one. Okay, so let's compare this season, this start to this season, to all of the other seasons under Gold, Sullivan and Brady. So the 2022 season, 22-23 season, this season, is the joint second worst after 17 games. Losses after 17 games. 11, a new record. The worst ever under the GSB era. And finally, the last stat I want to share with you, because I found this a little bit enlightening, especially because Moyes appears twice in the list. We've got Moyes version 1 and Moyes version 2. And this is an analysis of, for every manager that got fired, now Moyes version 2 has not been fired yet, but we look at Moyes version 1 that was fired, and we sit them alongside Zola, Bilic, Grant, and we look at, for their last 20 games, how did they do? Now, Moyes version 1, as you can see, he got 25 points from his last 20 games. So he was unlucky to get fired, and we all kind of knew that, didn't we? Right? Pellegrini actually got 22 points. He only did slightly worse than Moyes version 1. Even Avram Grant and Bilic in their horrendous last seasons did better than Moyes version 2. Even Gianfranco Zola did better than Moyes version 2, and he finished on a record low number of points that we were lucky to stay up. David Moyes version 2 has got 18 points in his, if he was to get sacked today, in his final 20 games at the club. That's only, it's only Sam Allardyce that does worse on this metric. So, all I'm trying to say is, these stats, I like a stat. Thank you, Ross, for doing those, by the way. I think they draw a picture. They draw a very clear picture that it's not our eyes that are deceiving us. This is actually what's happening. And the fact that the board are in a state of denial about what is actually happening at the moment, that's not our fault. We don't have to apologise for it. It is crap. We're calling it crap and we're asking you to do something about it. But you won't. You put out these gaslighting messages saying, Moyes would be the best. If we were to hire anyone, it would just be a David Moyes. Oh, my God. We're not even thinking about getting a new manager yet. Really? Aren't you? What if we lose the next 2 games? What, are you going to think about it then? Don't make me laugh. Of course you are thinking about it. So stop gaslighting us. Let's stop looking at David Moyes. I'm afraid this would come. I'm afraid this time would come, and I never wanted it to. I wanted Moyes to go when he was at his peak. When before we started getting fed up with him. Now I'm fed up with him. I get to the point where I can't wait to see the back of him. The sooner he goes, the better. So for me, he's gone from hero to zero. He's really demonstrating game after game as to why he shouldn't be here. And please God, it won't last too much longer, because if they leave this and let it rot, how many more games have we got? How many games have we got until we find ourselves entrenched in the bottom 3, primed for relegation, nowhere to go? Some people are saying the end of January he goes. So that means that he can lose against Leeds and Everton and Wolves, 3 winnable games. And then, if that were the case, as soon as a new manager came in, they'd immediately be greeted by Newcastle, Chelsea and Spurs. Hardly 3 games that you want to start with, right? So none of it makes sense. Perhaps the 3, we'll give him 3 games after the World Cup. We'll see how he goes. Perhaps that made sense. In which case, after Leeds, it's game over. Good night. But I tell you what, the messages that are coming out, the messaging that's coming out of the club at the moment is not making me optimistic. It's not making me optimistic at all. And I fear we're going to have a long, hard season ahead, no matter what happens. But anyway, there we go. It's Leeds tomorrow. I haven't got my hopes up. I was offered tickets, but sorry, I'm not driving 4 hours up to Leeds to watch another performance like that. I mean, I can just about get myself down the A12 to watch home games. So good luck to all of you who go in. I hope we get a result. I don't think we will, but I hope we do. And, because above all else, it's West Ham that I want to do well and survive and still be in the Premier League. It ain't about being right. It ain't about being wrong. It's about West Ham. And if West Ham suddenly start winning and turn it around, brilliant, fantastic. I just can't see it. Anyway, I've been Gary. If you've enjoyed this really miserable video, and I don't know why you would have, to be honest, please give it a like, hit the bell notification icon, and subscribe to our channel, Claret and Booze, on YouTube. I think John will be back with a daily ramble tomorrow, and then Nick will be back. Well, I think I'll be back on Wednesday night actually with Nick to talk about what just went on in the Leeds game. So that should be an exciting one. So until then, see you soon, and come on, you irons.